There is smoke coming from the Guardians pitching factory. No, they are not electing the next pope. They do need someone to save their soul right now, or at least help them find their way.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's a Tuesday therapy session of Locked On Guardians. Welcome on in. This is a safe space. Sit down. Hope you got your favorite beverage and hope you are ready for a half hour of Guardians talk.
I don't have any eggnog. Darn it.
We could not possibly be any more painful than watching the Guardians on Sunday and Monday. So we are so glad you're here. Again, this is a safe space. This is Locked On Guardians, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Your Cleveland Guardians every day. Whether they win or lose or have a position player pitching for the second day in a row for the first time in franchise history. I am Justin Lada. I am one of your two co-hosts here on Locked On Guardians. I have been watching Cleveland Guardians baseball my entire life. Very few games come to mind that were as ugly as the last couple of days. I have been writing about their minor league system since 2007 at the News Herald, the Morning Journal, next year in Cleveland.substack.com. And I'm here with my partner and co-host and friend, Jeff Ellis, for better or for worse.
I do want to take a quick moment before I introduce myself because, every podcast could be someone's first, and say thank you to all of our everydayers, especially those sticking with us through these trying games. I also want to say we have you covered from the majors to the minors to the draft and everything in between. And right now it feels like a lot in between, if I am honest. As Justin said, I am Jeff Ellis. When Locked On expanded to baseball, they made me one of their first hires. Still, thankful to them for that. Before that, I was a nationally recognized writer on prospects in the draft at Scout and 24/7.
On today's Locked On Guardians, we will talk about how things went from ugly to worse for the Guardians somehow on Monday. We'll talk about their game plan or lack thereof, and the Twins' great game plan, actually. We have to have another conversation about the Guardians' pitching depth as more of it is taking a hit after Monday's game. And we'll have to talk about how Tanner Bibee, it's time to step up and lead the rotation because they need you right now. They need you to be an Avenger. Before we get into all that, today's episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console is needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Somehow, Jeff, things got worse on Monday. If you would have told me after we finished recording our show on Sunday that Monday things are going to be worse, I'd have said, how is that possible? I don't know how it's possible.
I still don't feel like it's worse. It was so bad. Like, at least there was, the pitching failed in this one. The offense was okay-ish, and the defense wasn't laughable. No base running blunders. It was still crap. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it was worse.
There were no mental errors, I guess, from defense and a base running standpoint, but a couple things stand out, right? I think it's a mental error that there is a game planning issue. Now, Gavin Williams had a lot of issues in this game. We'll get into all of them because we have time to do that today. The biggest issue for me is this is the third time this season. We're only in April. We're only on April 29th. They've only played games through April 28th. This is the third time this year they've allowed a home run the first pitch of the game. And sometimes that's fluky, right? Like it happened in Pittsburgh to Luis Ortiz with O'Neal Cruz. Whatever. Tanner Bibee gave up a first pitch home run last week against the Yankees. They came back and they won that game. They recovered. This game, I watched the very first pitch, right? Bo Naylor's glove was set up at the top of the zone. It was a very clear target. Gavin Williams hit the target. Edward Julian hit the ball square in the nose. It's almost like he knew where the ball was going. I'm not saying there's any trash cans being banged in the dugout, even though Carlos Correa does, occupy that dugout for the Twins.
Exist in that dugout?
He does exist in that dugout for the Twins. I don't think there's any trash cans anymore. They know where all the cameras are at Progressive Field. At least Carlos Correa does. But it's like Edward Julian knew where that ball was going, and he was right there ready to ambush it. And I know there's talk about how, well, sometimes that's going to happen. Guys are going to ambush you on the first pitch sometimes, whatever. If you know that's going to happen, you've got to adjust. And maybe, I don't know how you don't know that's going to happen, but here's the thing with Gavin Williams. He's had one good start this year followed by a bad start. Some of his good starts have been mediocre starts. This was a bad start all around. The Twins had a very clear game plan in this one. It's the same way the Guardians' game plan or Lucas Giolito's game plan used to be against the Guardians with the White Sox. It was fastball changeup, don't throw anything else until they make you throw something else. For Gavin Williams or the Twins, the game plan was very simple. Get ready for fastballs high in the zone. Don't swing at any of his secondaries. Gavin did not locate his secondaries in this one. They didn't even bother swinging at most of them unless they were up and they could identify they were going to be in the zone. And they were ready for the high fastball. That is Gavin's game plan. Fastballs high, breaking balls low. He couldn't throw the breaking ball for a strike. Therefore, the Twins said, we don't have to swing at this. We're going to sit dead red and hit fastballs. That's what happened in this game. And there was no adjustment. And maybe there wasn't an adjustment to be made because Gavin couldn't throw his secondaries for strikes. So maybe it was, well, I don't have anything else, so this is what it is. But this is a familiar theme. The Guardians' pitching staff goes into a game with a game plan, and they don't seem to adjust. There seems to be a lack of adjustment so far this year. The Guardians' pitching staff is bottom 3 in ERA right now, the starting pitching staff. They are the second worst team when it comes to FIP right now. This team survived a horrid pitching staff a year ago. It was Tanner Bibee, Ben Lively was reliable, and everybody else, it was, dear God, please, let's just get through 5 innings. Gavin Williams didn't get out of the second inning. That's the third time this year he has gone 3 innings or less. They are not going to survive this kind of starting pitching again this year. I guarantee it. On April 29th, I can tell you. I can guarantee it. The Guardians are not going to make the playoffs with a bad rotation for the second year in a row. They have to start making adjustments. Gavin Williams was a preseason, I don't want to say Cy Young pick, but he was a sexy, breakout guy. It just isn't happening. I don't know if it's Gavin. I don't know if it's the plan, but this is a reoccurring theme, and it's going to hold them back if they don't get it on track. Not trying to rhyme today, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. I Gavin wasn't good, but I still look at this team, and for the most part, they've played well this year. The last 2 games have been rough. I'm just not. I tend to run kind of very even keel with all of this. I'm not going to get up too down until I see it's still the kind of the early part, and it's hard to say consistency wise. Gavin's start was what we've seen from Gavin this year, which is unfortunately him showing below average, 40 grade command and control at best, and he needs to be closer to 50 grade because his stuff, as good as it appears, we had to go listen to last week's episode where we talked about Gavin, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, where it's I don't know, I kind of feel like his stuff isn't as good as I kind of thought it was. It appeared really good because there's velocity and spin and all this stuff, but it doesn't fool any major league hitters. It was able to work fooling minor league hitters, but it just doesn't seem to work in terms of fooling major league hitters. And he's just never been consistent. We talk about the issues this year. Well, those are the same issues last year, and those are the same issues the year before. So Gavin does concern me quite a bit. I'm curious to see how it goes right now. For whatever reason, as a team, they're not hitting their spots. I don't know if it's, we can blame the cold all we want, but that's the bigger issue. Talked about Class A, his stuff breaking back the wrong way. Tanner's command has always been a strength of his, and it hasn't been there this year. Across the board, command has been crap for this team. They're not hitting their spots. And, Bo Naylor, the one thing he gives you is he frames. So if you're close, he can occasionally steal a strike. Problem is a lot of times they're not even close. He can't steal strikes if you're that far out. So I am concerned with the starting pitching. And, the reason I think my concern is greater than it was a year ago is because at least you had Tanner as a rock. And right now he's got the worst WAR in the team. I love Tanner. I want to say I have absolute faith, but they need more.
The good news is Gavin Williams, the same pitcher you saw on Monday night that couldn't get out of the second, couldn't get to the third inning. They had to pull him, and everyone was speculating, was he hurt? And it's just he threw 45 pitches in the second inning, which was almost half as much as Bailey Ober threw in the entire game, which the offense didn't have a good game plan for him either. There was just a lack of adjustments in this game, period, from the Guardians, from pitching to hitting. I mean, they had 11 at-bats against Bailey Ober where they were out on 2 pitches or less, and that's a credit to Bailey Ober. I think you can tip your cap to the pitcher sometimes too, but make adjustments throughout the game. And I don't know if that happened. It just didn't look like it because it was a lot of even Stephen Kwan. I know Stephen Kwan doesn't have great numbers against Bailey Ober in his career. The one guy he really doesn't hit very well. he swung at some bad pitches in this one against Bailey Ober. So Bailey Ober does have some sort of voodoo magic over the Guardians, and he's a good pitcher. Let's not sit here and say, well, Bailey Ober's garbage. He's not a garbage.
No, he's solid.
I'll tell you what, the Twins bottom of the order, that's bad. When you've got Mickey Gasper and Deshaun Kirksey and who are the other guys I'm thinking of in this lineup that were so
Jonah Bride.
Jonah Bride, who they had to buy from the Marlins to tie them over until Bryce Lewis got healthy. Those guys had 5 hits and 2 RBIs. And those guys hit Gavin Williams hard. Like, that's what I'm saying. The fastball, they were clearly ready for it. They had time to adjust. The good news is this is the same Gavin Williams who dominated the Yankees a week ago. Literally, a week ago, you and I were saying this team can beat you in multiple ways. The pitching is starting to come around. Gavin had a good start. Tanner beat the Yankees. They won 5 in a row. They won back-to-back series. This is the same team that did that a week ago. This team can still exist, but it's really the lack of consistency right now. Like, I don't know how you can go from sweeping the Pirates and beating Paul Skeens and dominating the Yankees lineup to making 4 errors to having position players pitch in back-to-back games for the first time in your franchise's 124 year history. That's a wildly inconsistent swing. That's the problem, really. I think if you want to look at big picture, Jeff, is the problem is how can you have a team that can do the things I just mentioned and then turn around a week later and make the 4 errors and have a position player pitching 2 straight games? Like, that's the most dangerous thing to me, is that you can have those wild, inconsistent swings.
I think all teams to varying degrees have that, though. Like,
that far of a swing, though? Like, that far of a swing?
Yes. Like, I mean, I sit there and see other people from other fan bases talking about. I mean, you just said the Dodgers have the worst walk rate in baseball. They've got, it's like no one's perfect, though the Dodgers certainly have more advantages. Like I said, I want to see, like, don't get me wrong, like if they don't at least split the series, my concern meter is going to get up higher, but like there's still one more series than they've lost. This is like, hopefully this is a nice little wake up moment for this team. Sometimes you get a little complacent in anything. And I think we all do it in life, and baseball might be more pressure, but it's still a job. It's still their thing. And maybe hopefully this will be something where they can start turning some things around. We'll have to wait and see. But like I said, most games this year until this last stretch, they've been competing. They're, like I said, they're winning more than they're losing. They're I think the season ended, they'd be in the postseason right now. Like, I can't quite get as concerned when that's still where we are.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's still early, and yeah, they've been doing things to win games, even though they're not playing their best. That is still the glass half full view of things. We got a view of the Guardians' depth problems. We talked about it on Monday. We have to talk about it again because the Guardians are losing more pitchers that are available to them or were available to them. Stick around and find out what that is in the next segment here on Locked On Guardians.
But first, looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Wonderful pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. So I talked about, I believe the chili lime is the flavor that I bought, where I was going to show you the bag, and then I ate it all before it bought on a Friday, and it did not last till Sunday. And the nice thing about that like little bag is it's not high in calories, but because you're eating a protein packed snack, when you sit there and grab wonderful pistachios, you fill up quicker. If you eat junk food, that doesn't fill you up. Eating a protein snack with those good fats, that is what you need. The better for you unsaturated fats, they will fill you up and you're just going to eat better. And that's what you want. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Today's episode is brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, taking pride in what you build and practicing the detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the All-Stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. Epicor ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain is easier. Managing logistics, easier. Responding to price changes is easier. Listen, we all want to make things easier. If you want to make things easier for you, go to Epicor. Especially from small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier takes the lead. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com.
Well, the Guardians did not have a whole lot of pitching depth to begin with on Monday. And after Monday's game, it's going to get a little bit thinner. I think we can pretty much guarantee Paul Sewald's going to hit the injured list on Tuesday when people are listening to this. He came out of Monday's game with the shoulder soreness. He's going to get more testing done, but it's never a good sign when a player has to pull himself out of a game, especially a pitcher. So hopefully it's not season ending. Like I think that's the worst case scenario, season ending, obviously. So anything that's not season ending, it's and they got lucky that Jacob Junis, took a line draw off his leg. He was their best pitcher in this game. He was able to continue, because if he would have got knocked down, and this was just a Friday the 13th walk under a ladder type, break a mirror type game, it seems like, because he could have easily come out of the game if he had to, and you'd be really lacking pitching. Joey Cantillo went down to the minors on Monday because they brought up Cody Bolton, because the Guardians just needed a fresh arm. Joey Cantillo was just not available to pitch on Tuesday, and they obviously stretched themselves thin in the bullpen on Sunday's game. So Cody Bolton comes up, Cantillo goes down. I hope they're going to stretch Joey Cantillo out. I'm a little bit concerned, though, because I know he didn't pitch well in his last outing, but overall he's been fine this year out of the bullpen. He's been a good arm for them. They do need the depth, but with Sewald going down and, Andrew Walters is on the injured list. Let's just give you a list of the Guardians pitchers that are currently unavailable. Paul Sewald's not going to be available. Franco Alamon is still hurt. Eric Sabrowski is still hurt. Andrew Walters is hurt. Tristan McKenzie cleared waivers on Monday. He's off the 40-man roster. Slade Ciccone still hurt. Trevor Steffen's still hurt. Shane Bieber's still hurt. Sam Hench is out for the season. That's a pretty good pitching staff on your injured list, I feel like, except for McKenzie. But I take all those guys on my pitching staff right now, except for Tristan McKenzie, and 29 other teams agree. They didn't want Tristan McKenzie either.
Which is a very darnding statement. I mean, when even the bad teams look at you and go, yeah, you don't even make $2 million and pitching's at a premium and we don't think we can fix you. That's $2 million being viewed as too much
That's an interesting comment, because I joked at the top of the show about how the Guardians pitching factory has smoke coming from it, because it's not great right now. This is supposed to be the pitching factory. Mm-hmm. The bullpen last year was fantastic. That half of things was great. Tanner Bibee was great last year. Ben Lively was good last year. This year, Tanner has not been great. Ben Lively has been okay. The bullpen has had some more cracks. The rest of the rotation has been inconsistent at best. And teams are looking at Tristan McKenzie going through waivers for less than $2 million and saying, well, if the Guardians can't fix you, I don't know how we can. Even the Brewers were like, probably not.
I don't even think it's about the Guardians. I think it's just you look at the scouting and you're like, oh no, there's nothing there. Because it's all about traits. We talked about teams are looking at him and nope, there's $2 million is nothing for a starter. And if every team says no to me, people were saying oh, I hope he doesn't get claimed. I'm I hope he does get claimed, because if no one claims him, then that means no one thought he was fixable, because $2 million is nothing to pretty much every org.
He might have to come back, because the odds of Tristan McKenzie coming back this year are going up at the way the pitching's going. Is this pitching factory in trouble? I think it is, because it's just starting pitching 2 years in a row has been not fantastic, and you have injuries and you have lack of depth. Last year they were pitching Carlos Carrasco, who's not good for the Yankees this year. And last year you also had, who was the kid from San Francisco they got, the original?
Howard.
Spencer Howard. That's what I'm saying. Is the pitching staff or is the pitching factory in a rough spot right now? Because it kind of feels like it. And I don't know, Tristan McKenzie might come back just because they're running out. I hope. Look, you got Bieber on the mound here soon in Arizona. You got Slade Ciccone throwing. You got Trevor Stephan throwing. You got some guys who are finally throwing in Arizona who could come back. John Means in August, right? I just hope that the Guardians pitching holds up long enough for those guys to come back so that they can pitch in meaningful games and they can help you get to October. That's my concern. It's like, I just want these guys to come back and have a team to save and lead to October. Because right now, like, I know you're saying you're not getting too down right now. And I'm not getting too down either. It's still April, and this team literally just took 2 or 3 from the Yankees a week ago, and we thought they were playing great. So things could turn around very quickly. But like, I just hope they have enough bodies to get them to the point where those guys come back and they have a pitching staff to save.
I guess I don't have that concern you do there. Like, they got, because I guess, like I said, without Tanner, it's a little more shaky. They got literally nothing out of 3 points of their staff a year ago and were able to pull through. Now the division's tougher. There's a lot more going on. That's not going to be enough, but like, they've got enough to.
Is it tougher?
Yes.
The Twins are not good right now.
I mean, I think
the Tigers are good.
Yeah, I think the Tigers are good. I think Kansas City is going to even out. And just the way, like, I think Cleveland will. Like, Kansas City's got enough pieces, but they're a flawed team, just like Cleveland. Now, as we saw a year ago, like, you just got to make it as a wild card team. Like, the lower seed advanced in both of the play-in series. So it's a situation for Cleveland where I think, there is a degree of holding court. There's a degree of waiting for your pitching to come back, but there is. And this is why they added Junis. This is why they added Sewald. This is why they went out and added Ciccone. And I know a lot of these guys are hurt, but they needed depth. And, you added Ortiz because you needed depth. You desperately needed depth. And we're seeing.
But it's evaporating.
But that's why you added it. Imagine the situation if you didn't have any of it. Like, the season could be in real jeopardy. I mean, you would be in a situation where you're trying to start like Vince Velasquez. Like, Kobe Allard and Vince Velasquez might be in a rotation now if you didn't go out and make those moves. Like, that's the situation you could be in. So they went out and added depth. It's evaporating, but if you didn't have that depth to begin with, you'd be in an even worse situation. Imagine no Ortiz in this rotation right now. Imagine no Junis in this bullpen right now. Like, that's why they went out and made those moves. And a lot of people are like, why do you add to your strength? Because pitching gets hurt. It's attrition. It's a war of attrition. They were weirdly healthy a year ago, and that's part of what they're battling now. And when you look at, like I said, this team, I still feel pretty good. We got to wait and see about some of these guys like Sewald and Walters and even Sabrowski, where we feel like there's kind of a lack of information. But I feel like there's enough talent. I do still like the lineup more than a year ago, just because I feel like there's a little more balance, a few more guys stepping up. But it's going to come down to, like, the bullpen has had regression. We see that, that they've had that issue. The rotation should be better than a year ago. They really need Tanner.
They sure do. No pressure, Tanner Bibee, but the Guardians, they definitely need you on Tuesday. It is time for Tanner Bibee to deliver. We will talk about that next on today's Locked On Guardians. The NBA playoffs, they are here. The Cavs, they're moving on. And FanDuel is giving all the new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel for the first time and place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Jeff talked about it on Monday's show. Every day is, remember this. This is the best offer FanDuel is going to give you. $250 is the top of the top offer for those free bonus bets, right? For $5 bets. Guardians, they are favored by 1.5 on Tuesday with Tanner Bibee on the mound versus Chris Paddack. Chris Paddack, not a great pitcher. This is a pitcher the Guardians offense should hit. They hit Tanner Houck last week against the Red Sox. That was the only game they won in that series. I would hope they have something similar of a turnaround against Chris Paddack. The over-under in this game is 8 runs. I'm going to take the over because the Guardians have been giving up a lot of runs. So either pitching gets bad again, they give up a lot of runs, so the offense gets a little bit of things going. The offense did some nice things on Monday. They just didn't have anything to show for it. Nolan Jones is ready to break out, or has been ready to break out forever. So I will take the over on 8 runs in that game as well. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com. Claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Thank you all for making Locked On Guardians part of your daily routine and your first listen today and every day, wherever it is you are listening and get podcasts. We are free everywhere, and including on YouTube, so make sure you're auto-downloading on your preferred audio platform. Make sure you're hitting the bell on YouTube, so never missed a video. I had a reaction video to the Guardians' loss on Monday. You can catch that. Jeff's doing some draft content as well for our bonus content for the insiders, so check that out. I've been texting the insiders throughout the game, as painful as it was. So check out that as well. Join subtext.com/LockedOnGuardians for some bonus content, some bonus interaction with us over there. No pressure for Tanner Bibee on Tuesday, Jeff. No pressure at all. The Guardians need at least 6 innings out of him. This is the thing Tanner has done really well in his career. In 2023, he was the guy. He was the stopper. I forget what it was. I don't have the exact record in front of me, but the Guardians were very successful in winning games. And pitcher wins, they don't mean anything. We know that. But they do mean team wins mean something. The Guardians won a lot of games in 2023 when Tanner started the day after a loss. He was the only reliable pitcher. I shouldn't say the only guy, because Ben Lively was reliable last year. But Tanner Bibee was the guy last year. He stepped up. He's had his own inconsistencies this year. I think he'd be the first to tell you that. They got to have a better game plan going in on Tuesday. There can't be any of this, ambush hitting, like first pitch fastball home run or first pitch fastball. They're on it. Like, you have to go out there and have a game plan from the start. Be ready for them to attack you. You've got to adjust back. Tanner got the contract he wanted to stay. I mean, he took less to stay, but he got the contract he deserved. Probably deserved more money, but he got the contract. He earned that money. He's got to go out and he's got to produce on Tuesday. This is the spot. If he wants to be the ace, if he wants to be the all-star, he wants to be the contract guy, it's not all on him. The offense has to score too, right? Everybody has to do their job. Everybody in that locker room has to look at each other and say, okay, the last 2 days have not been good. What can I do better to help the team win today? What can I bring here? What can we make? What adjustments can we make? You don't want to over tinker, but you have to say, what kind of adjustments can I make? How can I help the team win today? And it is going to have to start with Tanner, because he's got to go 6 innings. Like, you just don't have the bodies out there. They're going to have to recall somebody to take Sewald's spot on Tuesday. It's probably going to be Zach Kent, I'm guessing, but he's got to go out and give you 6 innings.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 back-to-back games where you didn't get innings at all, and the bullpen is hurting in that regard. And you just need Tanner.
And you had doubleheader Saturday.
Yeah, yeah, and the one nice thing was one game, Kobe Allard just kind of ate the whole thing for you. Like,
true,
that did kind of bail you out a bit. But going back, you also just need Tanner to be Tanner. Like, again, a year ago it was Tanner, and then Ben Lively, first half great, second half he started to fade, something pretty massive. So we had half a good year from Lively and just Tanner, and then a bunch of it was not good. So, but we don't have Tanner right now. Tanner again has the lowest WAR on the team, and they just need him to I don't know if it's cold. I don't know if it's like spring training wasn't enough. If guys are still in a way, almost feel like they're ramping up. We've heard a few different things, and I'm curious to see. I believe in Tanner. I think he'll be fine, but baseball is such a weird game now because, I sit there and I read 4 or 5 different articles every morning all about pitchers developing new things and doing things differently. And it's like, this sport has never been less static. You have to be adjusting. You have to, as Justin talked about heavily in the first one, it's like, if you're not adjusting, you're dying in baseball terms, which means you're just not getting better. And it's like, you have to be adding new pitches. You have to be finding new ways to attack. You can't sit on your laurels in this sport. There's very few guys who are talented enough to do that. I'm not saying that Tanner is sitting on his laurels. We've seen him kind of change what he's trying to do. And hopefully it's, just getting more reps, getting more innings, and using that new attack pattern. He'll be able to, be more effective as he kind of gets used to it and gets the reps. Part of me wonders if some of these starters just haven't had enough reps to fully kind of get ready.
I don't know if it's not enough reps or what. I mean, spring training, like you said, there's a lot of people out there who think that spring training for pitchers isn't long enough, or things are harmful, like rolling innings in spring training, right? Like, you have guys who are throwing 20 something pitches in spring training, and you're like, okay, we're taking them out, but we'll bring them in the next inning to continue to get their work. Well, they get that break, right? They throw their 20 whatever pitches in an inning in spring training, and they come out of the game, they rest, they come back and they finish their work. What I don't know what the adage here is, but it's train. You got to train. You got to train for the way you want to play. You can't have a training session where you're throwing 20 pitches in a game or in an inning, and they're pulling you, and you're going back out there. Train the way you want to play, and that's not what's happening in spring training. I understand you want to protect guys, and you want to, do it in a way that you think nobody has the answer to injuries, right? Like nobody knows. Like everyone's trying different approaches to keeping pitchers healthy, and not many of them, if any, are working. Like we don't have good answers for why guys get hurt. So I understand the reason behind doing the things the way you do, because you're hoping they do work out, and they're using the best data they have available to make those decisions. I know that the Guardians do have that. All the teams have that for the most part. But I don't know. Is that really working? I don't know, because it's been a couple of years now where things out of the gate for starting pitching just hasn't been very good. This goes back to 2022 and even in 2023. So, because they needed in 2023, they needed Tanner and Gavin and Logan right away. Remember that? Remember how right away they had to call all three of those guys up in April before they really wanted to, but they didn't have a choice. And Doug Nikhazy probably not really ready on Saturday, but they didn't really have a choice. Well, they pushed everybody back a day because they knew they had a tough stretch coming up, and they didn't make it any easier on themselves with Doug not going very far and Gavin not going very far in this one. So, and Logan Allen struggled. So they've got to find their way again, pitching wise, and it's got to start with Tanner. He's your ace. He's your stalwart in the rotation. He's got to be the guy that starts it. It's like Corey Kluber, right? Everybody wanted to do what Corey Kluber did. They wanted to watch him. They wanted to emulate him. And the next guy up wanted to do better than him. Carrasco and Salazar or Tomlin, whatever, varying degrees. But every guy wanted to go the next night and build on what that guy did. So Tanner's got to set that example on Tuesday, and they have to find a way to adjust and follow that pattern, because I'd love for this team to go out and score 8 runs in the first inning and take the pressure off or something, but we'll see. We'll be back on Tuesday. We will talk about if Tanner Bibee can be the stopper against the Twins, and CJ Kafis is headed to AAA. We'll talk about the impact of that on Tuesday's show.
Thank you all for joining us, rating and reviewing, downloading. It helps. Thank you to all of our everydayers. In spite of some rough games, we appreciate everyone who shows up. Numbers decline when they don't win, so we thank you all for coming. And as we always say, go, Guardians, go.